7. Fourth insight. Experiencing the arising and passing away of phenomena and discerning what is the path and what is not the path. Today I would like to start by talking about the fourth insight, Udaya Bayanana, the insight into the arising and passing away of phenomena. In the third insight, when you are meditating, you see all the three characteristics of natural phenomena: anicca, impermanence; dukkha, unsatisfactoriness; and anatta, not being in control. They arise because there is a cause for them to arise, pass away because it is their nature to pass away. We cannot wish that something should not arise or pass away. No permanent entity, no hard-lasting core, no entity, no soul, everything is a process. This is the unique aspect of the Buddha Dhamma. In some ways, people want to believe that there might be something lasting, something that does not change and exists forever. In the all teaching of the Buddha, there is no such thing as a thing. Only process. When we talk about a thing, try to understand what we mean by it. The word thing has got many meanings. There is no thing, there is only process. This is something very deep and important. This is where the Buddha Dhamma becomes very different from other spiritual ideas and other teachings. In some other teachings you hear about impermanence in some ways, and you hear about unsatisfactoriness also. When they talk about impermanence, they talk about impermanence of shape or form. For example, you break a glass into pieces, and people say, "Oh, it is impermanent," but was it permanent before it broke? No. Even before it broke it was impermanent. Impermanence is happening all the time, imperceptible. When we think of a shape, as long as the shape is the same, we think of it as permanent. In the teachings of the Buddha, impermanence is not impermanence of shape, but impermanence of the qualities: heat, cold, hardness, softness, etc. These are always changing. So in the third insight we see all three characteristics in a general way. And the same characteristics, anicca, dukkha, anatta, will become deeper and deeper as we develop higher insights. The fourth insight is called Udaya Bayanana. Udaya means to arise and Vaya means to pass away, to disappear. Another way of defining anicca is Hutva Abhavathena anicca, VSM 628. Hutva means having come into being. That means happening, arising. Abhava means not existing anymore. So in this insight, impermanence doesn't mean existing in a different form. Impermanence means totally disappearing. This where people get very confused, they misunderstand that changing is one aspect of impermanence, in a general way. But the real impermanence means it does not exist anymore. As long as we have the idea of something changing, but still existing in some form, we are still clinging to the idea of something lasting. Although it is a little bit different from what it was before, we still think that it is the same. Therefore, anicca really means not existing anymore. In this insight the meditator has developed very strong concentration, very strong mindfulness, and very little thinking is happening. Once in a while you think about the phenomena, not anything else. At this stage, the meditator has almost stopped thinking about other things. But occasionally he thinks about the meditation practice and experiences. Before reaching this stage, the meditator has a lot of concern about whether he is doing right or not. Is this nama? Is this rupa? Is this anicca? Is this dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, or not? This kind of wavering is still going on. But when one gets to this stage, all this has gone. Meditation becomes very natural and goes on without very much effort, which is why the mind has become so balanced. It has this upekkha, very strong equanimity develops. This equanimity has many characteristics and aspects. One of these is no terror or delight. Delight is a kind of labha, liking. No excitement, neither happy nor unhappy. The mind has become very calm and balanced. Meditation has become automatic, not much effort necessary. The mind stays there most of the time. Once in a while the mind wanders. When the meditator notices it, that is enough to bring it back, no need to struggle. Before this stage the mind just wants to wander and think about something else. You bring it back and in a few seconds it has gone again. It is a struggle, we are fighting with our own mind. But after a while the mind settles down and stays there, we are not fighting with our thoughts anymore. Energy also becomes balanced. Before this stage we don't have enough energy and not much interest. But at this stage, energy is balanced and we have enough of it. Before this, we tried too hard, we put in too much effort and the mind becomes irritated. Too much effort and energy causes agitation, too little effort and energy cause sluggishness and laziness. At this stage there is balance in energy, just enough to maintain awareness to keep the meditation going. One can do long sittings without difficulty, because at this stage there is no restlessness in the mind. In most cases when the person cannot sit still it is an indication of restlessness, not just pain in the body. Pain in the body comes and goes even at this stage, but because the mind is settled there is no restlessness, there is no desire to do anything else. The mind just stays with the meditation, watching everything arising and passing away right on the spot, on the moment. The object of meditation also becomes more and more refined. It appears very fine and very subtle. Before this, very gross sensation and thoughts appear, but now the sensation becomes very fine. Thoughts also become very slow, fine, and subtle. So there are 6 qualities of the mind here: no terror, no delight, no liking, no disliking. Neither happy nor unhappy, which means not excited about anything. Meditation becomes automatic, energy becomes balanced, sitting for a long time without difficulty. The object of meditation become very refined and subtle and no distraction. There are many kinds of upekkha, equanimity. This is called the upekkha with 6 qualities. So the definition of this insight is: Pakupannanam Dhammanam Viparanamanupasan Panahudaya Nanam. PTSI.57. This word Pakupanna is very important. It means present, at present. To see mental and physical process right now, not thinking of what happened before. Some people think that if you think about the past and see that all that has been happening in the past has gone, they feel that they understand anicca. But this is not real wisdom, real insight into impermanence. Real insight into anicca has to happen in the present. In what is happening now. So Pakupannanam means happening now. Dhammanam, Dhamma has many meanings, here it means mental and physical process. So seeing the disappearance, Viparanamanupasan, of those Dhamma that are happening right now, Pakupannanam Dhammanam. And understanding it truly, Panna, is called Udayabayanupasan Nanam or Udayabayanana, the insight of impermanence. So at this stage whenever the meditator pays attention or notices something arising, the arising becomes very clear and it disappears immediately. The noticing is very sharp and clear, clearly seeing arising and clearly seeing passing away, immediately arising, immediately passing away. The meditator can see that it arises here and passes away here without becoming otherwise. Jatamrapam Pakupannam, Tassa Nibidalakhanam Udayo Viparanamalakhanam Vayo PTS 54. The characteristics of arising, Nibidalakhanam, of that rupa happening now, Jatamrapam Pakupannam Tassa, is called Udayo. Its characteristics of disappearing is called Vayo. The two, Udayo and Vayo, together makes the word Udayabaya. There are many kinds of Pakupanna, present, actually, VSM 431. One is called Santati Pakupannam, taking things as a group. For example, if we listen to this sound, bell ringing, it takes a few seconds to disappear. The first sound we hear toning, then slowly it disappears. If we take it as a whole, it takes a few seconds, this is called Santati. Santati means a series, taking the whole series as one. So this is a very gross understanding of anicca. But if you pay more attention to the sound, you will hear the ringing, many small rings. One after another arising, but each one is weaker and weaker, new sound arising each moment. Every second, many sounds arise, many sounds pass away. And if you can think theoretically, you can see that the vibration sharpens about 1,000 times a second, very short, very quick. Kanapakupana is very short. But the material and mental phenomena, they arise and pass away so fast that we cannot really experience or see as quickly as that. Buddha said that physical process arises and passes away in a number of 1,000 billion per second. Arising and passing away 1,000 billion per second. To experience that much is impossible for an ordinary person. With mental process it is about twice faster. However, if in 1 second we can experience about 10 aneksa, we can be satisfied that we have understood it. Normally we can see about 2 in a second, but when we become very concentrated and calm, time stretches out, 1 second can become a long time. Sometimes meditators feel like they have been sitting for an hour, but when they see the clock they realize that it is only 5 minutes. Sometimes in another stage of meditation, you have been sitting 3 or 4 hours, but you have the feeling that you have been sitting for an hour only. Time becomes very unreal. It can stretch out as your mindfulness becomes very quick and sharp. Sometimes when you get into deep samadhi, time disappears. Distortion of time starts to happen at the beginning of this stage. At this stage, when you experience something and because you have the habit of sometimes thinking and noting using the name, you try to name it. But the moment you try to name it, it is not there anymore. So you feel that you cannot name things anymore, you can just see them. Watch them without thinking, without doing anything. To the beginner, the teacher teaches to note everything, hearing, thinking, etc. When you get at this stage, the moment you try to note, it is not there anymore. So you cannot note anymore, you give up the noting and you stay aware, looking deeply. At this stage, you are just looking, seeing. No noting anything, as you cannot note anymore. Because noting is very slow and seeing is very fast. At this stage, meditators sometimes experience very bright lights, abhasa, which are the sign of a very concentrated mind. These bright lights could have different shapes and different color. Sometimes a very bright star appears and quickly passes away. Sometimes it appears from one side and it moves across and the meditator gets very interested. Sometimes he sees that bright light moving, getting bigger like a moon. In samatha meditation this kind of light can be experienced also. It is a sign of concentration and of energy in the mind. Sometimes time appears to go very fast, which means that your mind is working very fast. In between the mental processes. Always at the end of the process there is a gap which is called bhavaga. When a person has too many bhavaga, there is a big gap. In 1 second, for example, if a person has many gaps in between, then in 1 second he can only experience a few things. If there are fewer gaps, then he experiences more. When you experience more things, it feels like time becomes slow. If you have studied quantum and relativity, you'll understand it more easily. When the mind works faster, you feel like time has slowed down. This is very real. In another stage of meditation, when the mind goes beyond time and beyond phenomena, at that moment you don't see arising and passing away. For you time does not exist, timeless. There is a kind of state where time becomes non-existent. Another aspect of this stage is that wisdom, jnana, becomes very clear, seeing mental process just as a pure mental process, not a being. You don't think about it, you just see it happening, it's just a process, not a being. Whenever you experience a physical process, you see the same thing very clearly, without any doubt, without any thinking. You see it as just a natural process and you see arising and passing away very clearly, without effort, it is so simple and natural. Very clear, sharp knowledge, clear wisdom, it is amazing. One is surprised that it is possible to see it so clearly. Mostly, we are very dull and cloudy, very confused, we don't see anything clearly. But at this stage of meditation without thinking, when we pay attention to something we see it very clearly as it is. We feel very happy and satisfied sometimes. Pity, a lot of joy and interest, sometimes rapture arises all over the body. The mind becomes so still that thinking stops, observing becomes very clear and insight knowledge becomes very sharp and clear. In that moment a kind of joy arises. But too much joy makes the mind too agitated and this can become an impurity. That is why these states are called vipassanupakalisa, the impurities of insight. By themselves they are not impurities. If we pay attention and don't become attached to them, we don't become proud of those states. And we don't have any wrong understanding of these experiences, then they just arise and pass away, just phenomena. But if we become attached to these states and become proud of them, sometimes these states can be misinterpreted for nibbana. Then it becomes an impurity, wrong understanding. Then pasadhi, tranquility, body and mind become very cool, real cool. So much so that you feel like you are sitting in an air-conditioned room, and sometimes you can feel drops of cool water on the body, even the body temperature can go down. In my monastery I have thermometer, blood pressure, and blood pulse counter. So sometimes I just strap myself with these things and try to measure the blood pressure, pulse, and temperature, and really the temperature, pulse, and pressure go down. Which shows that the body metabolism slows down. Only the mind is very active but not with thinking. That shows that thinking uses more energy. Worry also uses a lot of energy. If you don't think and don't worry, the mind becomes very sharp using the minimum amount of energy. Sukha, happiness, bliss is also experienced, as in that moment the mind is not attached or thinking about anything, it feels very free and happy. This is like a paradox. How can a person feel so happy seeing everything is arising and passing away immediately? You feel happy because you are totally detached. Detachment brings real happiness. Attachment is a burden. Most people mainly feel that when they get what they want then they feel happy. Real happiness is not wanting anything. This is very hard to understand. If we don't practice meditation and just think about it, we would not believe it. At this stage you don't want anything at all. No desire for anything more than the bare necessities. There is a dhimaka, a deep confidence, resolution. At this stage the meditator has really deep confidence in the Dhamma. Really this is true. This practice really leads to deep understanding and freedom. You have no doubt about it anymore. Total overcoming of doubt. Then pagaha, you experience a lot of energy and you don't feel lazy anymore. The body does not feel heavy anymore. You want to keep meditating, no fatigue anymore, and no sleepiness. Some people don't sleep at all, and they can meditate all day and night. When you lie down to sleep, don't plan to sleep, but be mindful as much as possible, and when you fall asleep it is okay. Your body needs to sleep. After a few hours when you wake up, you feel ready to meditate and you don't feel sleepy anymore. Upathanam, awareness, mindfulness is very sharp, very strong. Mindfulness and concentration, though they are in a way similar, they are different. When you are concentrated your mind stays on an thing, but you don't really see sharply the arising and passing away. When you are very mindful, you see arising and passing away very sharply, and stay on the process. Samatha meditation gives you deep concentration but does not give you clear knowledge, clear insight. When the mind becomes very mindful, concentration also grows. When the mind becomes more and more concentrated, the mind stays on one object only for a long time. When it becomes even more concentrated, it becomes only barely aware of the object and stays there. Sometimes you lose awareness, but the mind does not become distracted. The mind is very still and calm and still very aware of the object. In that case, if you know that this is happening, try to develop more awareness, be noticing another phenomenon. If you take two phenomena, you can keep more alert and become more mindful. When mindfulness becomes very strong, you can be aware of a lot of things happening at the same time. You are not trying to notice one or two objects anymore, you are not trying to notice anything. You are not selecting the object, you are just aware. When you are aware and there, you see everything coming and hitting, touching, that awareness, objects are coming and hitting awareness. But when too many objects are coming and awareness cannot handle those things very well, the mind becomes agitated. When you experience the mind losing clarity, try to limit the objects, calm down and pay attention to one or two objects. You need to adjust a little bit. In the beginning we tried to pay attention to one object and the mind wandered away. We noticed that wandering mind, brought it back and put it on another object again. We had to work very hard. Now at this stage the mind stays there, it is always present. Sometimes you feel that awareness is like a mirror. And everything that passes in front of it is reflected. Automatically you aware of it. You have no worry about being mindful. Sati, mindfulness, and sampajana, comprehension, is very strong at this stage but even before this also. Here it means mindfulness is present and ready all the time. You are not selecting any object anymore. Mindfulness is there and it is automatically aware of whatever is arising and passing in the moment. Meditation becomes very easy. Another thing, actually the most important is nikanti, attachment. All the above 9 experiences happen more or less to every meditator. This is the sign that the mind is becoming more and more concentrated, more and more aware. That's why you experience light sometimes very sharp insight, sometimes a lot of joy, tranquility, happiness, bliss, a lot of confidence, energy, etc. These are all very good. There is nothing wrong with it, but if you get attached to any one of these, it becomes impurity. Light itself is not impurity. Clear insight is not impurity. They are pure, very good. But only when you become attached to them, they become impure. Sometimes when you get attached to this clear, sharp seeing, you become proud of it and you want that experience again. That wanting is nikanti and it is an impurity. Any of the following experiences can cause attachment, tanha, craving, mana, pride, ditthi, misinterpretation or wrong understanding. When we see bright clear lights, sometimes it is a diffused light with no shape, we feel very bright in the mind and because the mind is so alert we experience brightness. Some people misinterpret this for enlightenment. Now I am enlightened, my mind is so clear, so peaceful, calm and free, the insight is so sharp, it couldn't be any better. If we interpret it that way, this is wrong understanding. Ta, mana, or ditthi arising, these are impurities. There are 10 impurities of vipassana, the first 9 are not impurities in themselves, only the 10th one is. Please understand this. Because even in upekkha, equanimity, we become so balanced that we don't have to try and meditate. Meditation just happens. Sometimes we think that we don't need to do anything, but just relax. If you do that in the beginning, it feels very good. You don't have to try, so relaxed, peaceful and calm, so free. But after a while the mind loses energy, it becomes dull and sleepy and it loses sharpness and awareness, and after a while you lose concentration. Whenever you experience this, it is important to remind yourself that in itself this is not impurity. Only attachment, pride, or wrong understanding is impurity. The bright lights can happen in samatha meditation, through just pure concentration, and they can also happen because of vipassana insight. The understanding becomes so clear and sharp that you feel very bright inside. In fact, we experience these things from the very beginning in vipassana. Even in the first insight, when the mind becomes quiet and clear, mindfulness and samadhi become quite strong. Sometimes we begin to experience light or pity, joy, interest also, however at this stage it becomes so strong that some people, depending on their personality, see different images like Buddha images, peaceful scenes. As I myself like beautiful scenes in nature. I love nature, I tend to see mostly those, mountains, lakes, and sometimes the surface of the lake is as clear as a mirror. Depending on people's personalities, images like those appear in the mind, so sharp and vivid, as if you are there looking at it. In some cases, you can interpret this, but interpretation is not important. You can interpret your personality also. A person, whose basic nature is aversion, will see terrible images like dead bodies, ugly faces. A person who has a lot of Sayadaw confidence might see a lot of beautiful Buddha images, sometimes live Buddhas, real, walking, moving and doing things. You are not really seeing the real Buddha, your mind creates it. When you see things, no matter what, just note or notice them. Don't interpret anything. Because when you interpret you think. When you think you lose awareness. Concentration, mindfulness will go down. When you experience these lights you feel very light too. You think because I am experiencing enlightenment these lights are appearing. That is a misunderstanding because the person feels very happy and delighted, a kind of greed arises. Sometimes, thoughts arise as well, we see phenomena the way it is arising and passing away and we begin to think, oh, this is really impermanent. Even though we are thinking, awareness is still very sharp and we think my understanding is very sharp. You identify with understanding. It becomes my understanding, my wisdom, my insight, and this my is impurity. The insight is not impurity, but the my becomes impurity. Very strong rapture might arise, it can go through the whole body, or just part of the body, like waves. Sometimes you feel like your body is floating up, or that there is no weight anymore, or the whole body disappears, only the mind, the awareness is there. The person might become unconscious and not aware of anything anymore. In some cases people feel that because all the mental and physical phenomena stop and disappear this is enlightenment. One aspect of enlightenment is cessation of mental and physical phenomena, but at this stage it is not real enlightenment. For a brief moment the mind just stops, there is a kind of blank there, but immediately you become aware again and see that there was a gap. The difference between this and enlightenment is that after you see this gap, your sharpness and clarity stays the same. You see the same phenomena in the same way again. After the real enlightenment, when it happens, the mind slows down a little it is not as sharp as it was. Although mindfulness and concentration are still there, the mind is not sharp and fast anymore. So this blank is not real enlightenment. Sometimes the tranquility also becomes very strong, mind and body become very tranquil and then it becomes unconscious, for a very brief moment only. Sometimes samadhi becomes very deep and the object of meditation becomes very dim and it disappears, and the mind becomes blank, unaware. The body stays the same, very calm, not moving or falling down. When you become sleepy the body falls down. But with this kind of samadhi, the body does not fall down, even though for a few moments you fall asleep. Sometimes because of upekkha, equanimity, you don't worry about meditation anymore. In the beginning you worry a lot. Am I being mindful? Is my mind here? Is my mind wandering? There are a lot of thoughts and worries about meditation, but at this stage, no thoughts or worries about meditation. The mind becomes very tranquil and relaxed, and after a while it becomes unconscious. When you become too relaxed you become unconscious. Sometimes it is just real sleep. This sleep is very different from normal sleep. Normally when you sleep your body cannot maintain a sitting posture, it becomes very limp. When you meditate the mind can become very calm and peaceful and concentration becomes very strong. When you fall asleep your body does not become limp, it maintains posture. When you wake up your mind is still very clear, you don't have any drowsiness. You are ready to meditate again. A lot of people that I know, and sometimes I have experienced it myself, after sitting for many hours a day just fall asleep, sometimes for a long time. When waking up the mind is very refreshed, alert and clear and automatically the moment you wake up, you begin to meditate again. Normally when people wake up they don't really know that they are awake. Vague dreams thoughts happen for a long time and one slowly wakes up. But for a meditator as soon as he wakes up, with the first consciousness meditation is together. He's ready to meditate. It is a very good thing. Surprisingly at this stage some people meditate in their dreams. Have you ever heard of it? Can you meditate in your dreams? As a way of testing me, my teacher often asked me, do you meditate in your dreams? I said not yet. He said okay, try to be more mindful, meditate more. I try to meditate and meditate. And once I meditated in my dream and I was so happy because I had something to tell to my teacher. We want to please our teacher and we also want our teacher to think very well of us. So I went to his place and waited for a while, and when he came out I said, I have something to tell you. I was very young, very childish in some ways, very immature too, but I was very happy, so I told him. He sat and listened very pleased, smiling, saying very good, your mindfulness is becoming stronger. So, we can meditate unconsciously even. It becomes a habit. In dreams we dream of what we have done during the day. A doctor would dream of events such as operating, giving treatment, injections, advice. People working in department stores, in their dreams they might dream of selling things. A student studying for an exam, many times I dreamed of having exam, it was terrible, something missing. I can't answer my question. It is quite natural to dream about things that we are used to doing. So, meditating in your dreams is a sign that indicates that meditation is becoming a habit. The moment you wake up you are ready to meditate. After a while, you don't dream much anymore, very rarely you dream. You fall asleep and when you wake up you are ready to meditate, in between no dreams. An arahant does not dream anymore. Dreaming is a sign that there is some sort of moha. Something unconscious happening. Moha has many meanings. Stupidity, confusion, and delusion are some. For an arahant there is nothing unconscious. Conscious and unconscious become one. Most people are more unconsciousness than consciousness. A lot of unconscious thoughts going on even while we're awake. But for a meditator those thoughts become conscious. In that way a meditator can change the unconscious mind, which is a very strange idea for most psychologists. That is how this meditation influences people's personality. There is no other way as effective as meditation to do this. A lot of mental sicknesses, neurosis, just disappear, you don't have to do anything about it. This is really a good way to develop good qualities, to overcome bad habits. A lot of people at this stage, they even quit smoking. Smoking is not really breaking any of the precepts, but a lot of people give it up. They even give up drinking too much coffee or tea. Any kind of attachment or addiction is given up. Actually you don't even try to give it up, but you don't feel like doing it anymore. A lot of people that I know, some of them are friends of mine and they used to be alcoholics, smoke a lot of cigarettes, they just gave up. At this stage also, many kind of bodily sickness disappear, not only mental, but real bodily sickness disappear also. Tranquility, and pity, joy, rapture, which are very close, have tremendous therapeutic powers. That is why you hear of people overcoming diseases after they meditate. A lot of phobias, insomnia, also are overcome. When there is a lot of tranquility, pasadhi, people don't want to go to places that are very noisy and crowded. They try to avoid unnecessary activities, disturbances. They want to just go away and live in a very quiet and peaceful place and just meditate. At this stage, even when you walk you feel like your body has no weight. You think of taking a step and the leg is already moving. You are aware of it but you don't feel the weight. One step after the other, you feel like you are walking in the air, your feet just barely touching the ground. You feel the touching sensation but you don't feel the weight, and you can walk very fast. You feel like running. No aches, pains, or feeling hot. The mind is not distracted. Here is a gatha from the Dhammapada, a very good one. Sunagarampavathasa, Santasiddhasabhikhuno, Amanuzi Ratihoti, Samadamam Vipassito. DHPD 373. A person meditates in a very quiet place, Sunagarampavathasa, Santasiddhasabhikhuno. He experiences happiness and joy beyond that of a normal man, Amanuzi Ratihoti, because he experiences the Dhamma, Samadhammam Vipassito. Yato Yato Samasati, Kandhanamudaya Labhati Piti Pamajam, Amatam Tam Vihanatam DHPD 374. Whenever he watches the khandhas, the five aggregates, seeing arising and passing away, Yato Yato Samasati Kandhanamudaya he experiences joy and Dhamma pleasures, Labhati Piti Pamajam. This is a tonic for those who are wise, Amatam Tam Vihanatam. They experience that this is the way to liberation and they are very convinced that this is the practice that leads to liberation. You are sure about it. That is why I told you that when you reach this stage you are on the right path. You have really learned how to meditate. The meditation practice is very strong. This stage is called Balava Vipassana. Balava means very strong. Before this stage it is called Taruna Vipassana. Taruna means weak, young, immature. At this stage it is mature, very strong Vipassana, insight. Another thing that can distract the meditator at this stage is because he has so much faith, confidence in the practice. Because he has experienced so much lightness, freedom, and joy, he wants to encourage other people to meditate. Meditate, meditate, let go of all those things you have been doing for so long, stop doing them and meditate. He wants to encourage and teach others also. But if you go and do that you destroy your meditation. Don't stop to go and teach. Just continue your practice. Don't encourage other people. You can do that later. But it is very hard not to do that. It is very hard to resist. At this stage you experience the awareness, mindfulness, and the object, they go for each other and then they touch. The object comes and touches or hits the mind. The coming in contact of the consciousness and the object becomes very clear. Before this stage we don't understand what phassa, contact means. We've heard and thought about it but haven't really experienced it. However, at this stage we can really experience clearly the contact between object and mind. Sometimes the mind goes into the object. For example, before this stage it is like throwing a tennis ball to the wall. It hits the wall and bounces back, but at this stage you throw a very sticky ball. When it hits the object it stays there. Mindfulness does not run away or get distracted. Before this stage, sometimes we had to try to find the object to meditate on, but at this stage we don't have to do that. The object comes to the consciousness, to awareness, and sometimes awareness is just there ready. However, because of so much interest, joy, energy, and clarity we get attached to that state and we don't want to stop meditating. Although in a way this is very good because we are not lazy or distracted anymore, in another way we can get attached to it. Mostly we don't interpret that as attachment. We just think I am very happy to be meditating, I like meditating. How do you discriminate? When you don't experience those things anymore, you feel unhappy about it. I want it again, what can I do to get it again? These are indications that you are attached to it. The more you try to get it again, the harder it becomes. It is a very tricky thing. At this stage it is very important to watch your intention. Look into your mind and see. What am I trying to do now? Am I trying to get to that state? Sometimes, for example, you have to go out to get your food and eat and more or less you are distracted. When you finish and you go back and meditate and you expect to go back to the same state, that expectation is a hindrance. Whenever we meditate we have to remind ourselves. I am not trying to do anything. I am not trying to get anywhere. I am not trying to experience what I have experienced before. I am just trying to be aware of what is happening now. This is very simple. What we do is not trying to get something or to get somewhere. What we do is to be here and now. To pay attention to whatever is happening now. However, no matter how much we are warned by our teacher, when things happen like this we still get attached, we still misinterpret it. This is something that we have to go through. The most important thing is not to get stuck there. When this is happening, if you are with a teacher and discuss it with him, he will say, look, you are getting attached. Watch that attachment first. He will not tell you to give up that attachment. Because if you don't see the attachment, how can you give it up? It is happening unconsciously. The first thing you have to do is to make that attachment become conscious. This advice has a very wide meaning. Whatever we want to overcome, first we must become conscious of it. Without becoming conscious of it, we cannot overcome it, no matter what. So the teacher will point out, look into your mind and see that attachment. If you can see it, after a while it becomes weaker and goes away, but it will come back again. You see it, it goes away and then comes back again. After a few times it will go and it will not come back anymore. You'll understand that getting attached to these happy states, to these good experiences, is not the right path. Getting attached is the wrong path, no matter what. Even meditation experiences. If you get attached to them, you are on the wrong path. If you can see and overcome your attachment, you understand that paying attention to whatever is happening right now, body or mind, is the right path. This understanding is called Magga Visuddhi. Magga means the path, Amagga means not the path, seeing that this is the path, this is not the path. Understanding the two very clearly is a kind of purity of mind, purity of understanding. Nanadasana Visuddhi, Visuddhi means purity. All of us, now and then, go on the wrong path. It's okay, it will happen. But see it and then come back to the right path. Make mistakes, learn from them, correct yourself, and do the right thing. This is the way we learn and grow. Without making any mistake, without correcting our mistakes, we cannot learn and grow. So, it is okay to make mistakes. But don't keep on making the same mistakes again and again. I'll just give you a brief idea. In the beginning stage of meditation, first you see the natural quality of physical and mental phenomena. Later we generally see impermanence and unsatisfactoriness and no soul, no permanent entity, no control, emptiness in a way. Later we see arising and passing away very sharply, very clearly. After that you see passing away. When we begin to see phenomena arising and passing away, first we see arising but we don't see passing away. Before we see one phenomenon passing away, we see another phenomenon arising. It goes on like that. One thing arising, another thing arising. After this we see an arising, a passing away, a gap, another arising and passing away, one gap, we see the gaps also. After a while you pay more attention to just passing away, passing away. You don't pay so much attention to the arising anymore. In that stage impermanence becomes more and more clear, everything is passing away very quickly. When you see very clearly impermanence, in that insight you also see unsatisfactoriness. Why? Because something arising and passing away so quickly. How can you find any satisfaction? How can you rely or depend on it? You can see that every moment is birth and death. There is nothing you can keep, and there is nothing you can hold on to. Because things are arising and passing away so quickly and it is not under your control. Every experience, every sensation, every thought, every mind moment, even this awareness. Everything is always passing away. So, in this stage, meditation becomes very complete. You see the object arising and passing away. You see the consciousness arising and passing away. You see this meditation consciousness which is experiencing or seeing this vipassana wisdom, even mindfulness you can see arising and passing away. At first we see that these physical phenomena are not me, not mine, this thought it is not me, not mine. But you still see that this awareness is there in the mind, it is me, I am meditating, I am seeing, I am aware. When you come to this stage you also see that even this meditating consciousness, even this awareness is passing away. There is a simile for this. When you burn a dead body, first you use a very long stick to turn over the body. When the body has burnt you throw away the stick, let it go, you don't keep anything, you cannot keep anything. Even this meditation consciousness, this awareness. You put it into anicca, this is also anicca. Then only anicca understanding is complete. If there is any part of your experience which you feel is yours, you have not fully understood and experienced anicca very well. Even this awareness, jnana, is arising and passing away, and one can do that repeatedly. In the texts it is said that you should do that 10 times, but you don't have to do that many. Object, consciousness, wisdom, seeing them arising and passing away. Watching that wisdom again and again up to 10 times, but we don't have to do it for 10 times. Watching this vipassana jnana and seeing it as impermanent is called pativipassana. The first vipassana jnana is called vipassana. Watching that vipassana jnana, that wisdom, and seeing it as impermanent is called pativipassana. This vipassana wisdom becomes the object of vipassana again. I think I have made the meaning quite clear, right? Even wisdom is impermanent, even awareness is impermanent. At this stage you can see it. You don't even get identified with this meditative awareness. Just like after you burn the body, you then burn the stick. Next week I will try to give details about the fifth insight, Bhainganana, seeing dissolution. After this fourth insight it's much easier. If you have any questions about this fourth insight, if anything that is not clear, please ask. Question and answer. The first jnana, it is called 1. Namarpaparikittanana, seeing nama as a process, mind as a process, and rupa, physicality, as a process. Seeing it as not a being, it is not a man or a woman, there is no shape, no color. Hardness is just hardness. You cannot say that this hardness is a man's hardness or a woman's hardness. Hardness is just hardness. Softness is just softness, movement is just movement, it is not a man or a woman. These phenomena have no shape, no form, they are just qualities. Please pay attention to this again. When we meditate we are paying attention to the quality. Any quality is not a being. Nama also, you can see that it is just mental phenomena also, it is not a being. Greed is not a woman or a man, greed is just wanting something. Whether it happens to you or me, it has the same quality, wanting. Wanting this or wanting that, it does not matter. It is just the nature of wanting. Any other kind of mental state also is just a mental state, not a being, not a thing, not a man or a woman. So seeing nama and rupa is called namarpaparikittanana. There are two things happening. One is rupa, one is nama. After that you see the cause of these mental and physical phenomena, that is called 2. Pakaya, seeing the cause. After that you see anicca, dukkha, anatta, generally, which is called 3. Samasananana. In this stage a lot of thoughts about Dhamma arise. Thoughts about nama, about rupa, about anicca, about dukkha, and also about anatta. After this stage, those thoughts are no more. You see things arising and passing away very sharply. Very clearly, this is called 4. Tadaya Bhayanana, and is the fourth insight, and the fifth is called 5. Bhainganana, dissolution, passing away, disappearing. Question and answer. No, not yet, just halfway now. But actually this is the real beginning of meditation. One requirement to become enlightened is seeing arising and passing away very clearly. This is strong vipassana stage, Balava vipassana stage. Question and answer. In order, yes, it happens in order, but some people go through very slowly and stay in one insight for very long time and then go through very quickly another insight and then go through very slowly another insight. It happens like that, but it has to be in this series, in this order. Not everybody experience things in the same way. Some people spend a long time in the first insight and second and third very quickly. And then they may spend a long time for the fourth to develop. Actually the first insight takes a long time to develop, second and third not so long. The fourth takes some time to develop because there are a lot of hindrances, a lot of attachments and distractions during the experience. After that it can become faster until another stage where people get stuck. I will come to that stage later. This is the order of the development of insight. Question and answer. If you don't keep practicing, you lose them. Mostly you go back to the first insight, but you don't go back to zero. Question and answer. That means that you have gone beyond the first stage of enlightenment. Before that you can lose it, the insights. But even if you lose it you maintain some deep wisdom, and even if you die, this experience has great power. However, you will be able to revive it again. Don't be discouraged. Even if you stop meditating, you don't get so confused anymore. You still maintain some awareness, and when you meditate again you develop easily. Question and answer. Some awareness, yes. With just pure samadhi you cannot see impermanence. You can see only the quality without seeing the arising and passing away. Or you can keep your mind on some concepts, you can even keep your mind on emptiness. I tried it for a long time, and I liked it very much. Do you know why it is good to contemplate on emptiness? Emptiness does not make you unhappy. There is nothing there to make you unhappy. Yes, you can do that, but when you get attached to it and you cannot get it, then you feel unhappy. But when you keep practicing you can go into that state very quickly. Question and answer. You have to keep practicing. When you get to this fourth stage of meditation, you cannot make mistakes anymore. You know what to do. That's why the last thing I told you was, you know what is the path and you know what is not the path. You cannot make mistakes anymore, keep going, you'll be there. That is a kind of relief, because before that you are not sure of what you are doing. Maybe I am making a mistake, is it right or wrong? Question and answer. No set amount of time. It depends on your clarity and on your maturity also. Some people take a long time to develop one insight to its maturity. Even in one insight there is a kind of range. For example, this fourth insight has a wide range. In the beginning stage of it you see the rising and passing away, and there is a lot of thinking. If you develop more and more, this arising and passing away becomes more and more clear, and after a while it goes beyond that and you see dissolving. Dissolving, passing away more and more. Every insight has a range. It depends not only on the factor of time, but as well the quality of your meditation is very important. Question and answer. If you can develop jhana, you can use that jhana concentration to practice vipassana. And with the help of this strong concentration you can make progress very quickly. Because the mind is not distracted as you have developed a very concentrated mind. But to develop jhana is also quite difficult. There are two ways of meditating. One is to first develop jhana then meditate on vipassana. This is called samathayanika, using samatha as your vehicle. However, in vipassana only, when you get to this fourth insight you develop strong enough samadhi which is very similar to jhana. Mindfulness becomes very strong. When mindfulness becomes very strong, concentration also becomes very strong. The two are very similar in quality. You don't have to develop jhana. Question and answer. I cannot tell you exactly why Buddha did that. But for vipassana meditation if you can develop concentration it helps quite a lot. But if you cannot develop jhana you can still practice vipassana, which is called sukha vipassana, which means vipassana without jhana. So there are two ways of practicing, first developing jhana and then vipassana. The other way is, without developing jhana concentration, just straight away meditating vipassana. You can do it either way. Question and answer. When you practice samatha, what is the object of your meditation? It is a kind of concept, an idea, or an image. For example, when you practice metta meditation you can develop jhana, but the object is a person, which is in its own way a kind of reality, samyuti sakha. When you want to meditate vipassana you have to let go of this concept or idea of person and switch to either natural physical or mental phenomena. For samatha meditators, after they have developed samatha jhana, mostly they go straight to cittanupassana, not to kayanupassana. Because after that jhana they watch that jhana consciousness and see the qualities of the jhana consciousness. They let go of the jhana object and watch that consciousness which is jhana consciousness.